Today, we're going to learn how to paint gemstones using a two-tone color scheme that will make them gleam bright and shine on the battlefield. Now, those crap puns are out of the way, let's rock and roll. There are loads of ways of painting gemstones. Frequently, you start with a dark color in one corner and a light color in the bottom, call a little dot of white and call it done. Sometimes you'll use things like those god-awful soulstone paints that GW decided to produce. Don't do that. In this video, I'm going to show you what I feel is at least the best way to paint a gemstone. I want the gemstones on my Eldar to stand out and be really cool and mystical looking in nature. After all, there's a captured spirit of an Eldar soul inside that gemstone. It shouldn't just look flat and boring. I'm going to show you a way to get a sort of gradient across the stone that also changes color as well. And also, by adding a few little touches to it, you'll make it look quite realistic too. There's no tricks with like gloss varnish or anything like that, it's just straight up painting. Painting the gems is one of the last things you want to do on the model. After all, you want to paint all of the backing and the surrounds and stuff, and then give them a nice base coat of some black. Now, I filmed all of this during a 2-day stream over on Twitch where we've painted 2 warlocks in 2 different color schemes and gave one away. If you'd like to see how we painted the white for this guy, I edited that down into the video. You can find that over on Patreon. Link will be in the description below. And while you're there, why not click the subscribe button and give the video a cheeky thumbs up as well. So you can see here that we're building up more and more passes of the blue. When you're working with glazes, remember the first part of your paint goes on really almost transparent, and it just needs a little bit of time to build up to get to somewhere you really want. Keep adding Signar blue base into your blue black mix, and then again glaze further and further. It's going to take several passes to get this where you want it, same as the first coat, because we're starting from a black base coat. If you're starting from something that's a little bit more vibrant and a little bit brighter, it wouldn't be such an issue. But right now, we've got to build all of this color up from essentially nothing. So keep going, take your time. You can do all of the gemstones on a model, a unit, whatever, all at once to make sure this goes reasonably quickly. Eventually, you'll get to a point where Signar blue base can go on by itself. And as you can see here, we're working ever so slightly thicker, but it's still kind of a glaze. If you tried this over a smooth surface, you'd see loads of brush strokes. Keep adding that on until you're happy with it, and then start adding in some Lothern blue. Now this is a little bit thicker again, because we want to try and keep a little bit of control over this. And we're also going to come on with a thicker line, knowing that very shortly, we're going to start adding pink to this to get it to a point where we're really happy with the transition. We need to have a little bit more blue at this stage. So we're keeping adding the blue on there and building that up until we're ready to start adding on our pink. For this, we've taken some beaten purple and murderous magenta. We've given a 1 to 2 mix of that to put it somewhat closer to the magenta side of things. And here we are going back to a real glaze. You see just how thinly this is being applied to the gemstone. We're working to keep the little dot of extra paint towards the bottom because that'll help with our transition. So we've built the blue gems up about as much as we can do before switching color. We've even put a first part of our purple on there. Now we're going to start working on the purple gems, build them up to the point where we can then use that color that we built into as the highlights on our blue gems. Then we'll get the blue back over onto the purple. When you're doing this, it can be easy to get confused when you're sort of building all the colors up. Certainly when I was doing this, it was about midnight-ish after 30 odd hours of streaming. It's very important that you keep that in mind, that you're going to do this gem up to this color and this gem up to this color. So we start building the purple the same kind of way. Start with something dark, work up to something bright, and keep your paint nice and thin. Now throughout most of this video, I've used a glaze for all of it. And in fact, you can use a glaze for every single part. However, when you get down to the thinner lines, you might want to thicken your paint a little bit more. If you're having problems getting your paint to a glaze consistency or just unsure what that is, check out the video up there because that will show you how to thin your paint properly. Just go to the timestamp in that video for a glaze, you'll be able to do that and replicate it no issue. Now this is about as bright as we're planning on taking our pink for the gemstones that will be pink going into blue. So we're nearly ready to start moving that into gemstones that are blue moving into pink. When you're doing any of this, make sure your wet palette's got all of the colors you've worked in so far, just in case you need to go back a step. Make sure you've got plenty of room on there, your paint is nice and thin. You should be able to get all of this done without too much hassle. Now you can see we're starting to put our highlight over onto the blue gems, and we're just starting to bring that up. And as soon as you put that first couple of passes of this purple on, everything really starts to change. You still get a lot of interest from the gem, it still has that two-tone blue into pink kind of look to it, but it starts becoming definitely more pink from a distance and not blue. Once you're happy with your pink and you've got that up to a nice stage, we're ready to add the blue to that part. But while we're working with the pink, we may as well continue getting those colours built up on our blue gems and finish the transition there first. This is why at this point in the video, we switch back to our blue gems. Apologies for the lack of focus on this, but it does sharpen up about now-ish though, as we start bringing all of those colours together. You can see even from this early stage, we have got more of a pink cast to these gems rather than something that's blue, but there's still a little bit of extra interest in the background. Keep brightening your pink by adding in your Mammoth White highlight and keep building that until, again, you're happy with it. You want to make sure that each one of these passes though becomes further and further down towards the bottom of the gem and is thinner and thinner. So to aid with that, you may want to use paint that's ever so slightly thicker. Here you can see we're touching just the bottom part of that gem with something that's really, really bright, and that really just lasers your focus in to that part of the gem. We then go back with the blue and do exactly the same things to the pink areas of our model. So here you can see we've added that Lothern blue to the central gemstone on its chest. That helps break up the surface we've got there nicely and provides a nice focal point on the way up to the helm of the model. And then we start adding in some of our sickly skin to that. Sickly skin is a great addition to any blue or like off-white colours because it really does give you something that's nice and bright, but it doesn't make it too pastel. Keep working that in again, just like we did the pink, until you got a nice full bright finish right at the very bottom of your gem. And then these things are almost done. It's just one step left to do. Okay, so now we get into the last part, and this is the most important part of the process. The gems are extremely reflective. You need to add a little white dot. Now, add this to the upper part of the gem, and if you get the same problem I'm getting here, white paint does this a lot where it dries on the tip. Make sure you just quickly wash your brush out and pick up some more paint. If it happens a lot to you though, maybe add in a little bit of flow improver. It's a drying retarder. It'll stop the paint drying so quickly on your brush and help it flow onto the model. For larger gems, I like to do a little dot and then a little streak of light. It just curves around the top corner of the gem. You want to make sure this is on the more bulbous part of the surface though, and not at the very, very edge where it meets the casing that is holding it. For smaller gems, you can get away with a nice little dot right at the very top of the gem. You don't need to do too much to it. On these, you can see that I've just added a couple of little dots and then just moved them a little bit around a little, just to give it more of a sort of refracted light. Once you've done all of these, I hope you'll agree that they look pretty spectacular. And I've shown you how to do pink into blue, but there's loads of different colors you can do. For instance, here on our green warlock, we've done a orange finish to a pink gem and a pink finish to an orange gem. You can find any colors as long as they aren't too far apart and the color wheel will work fine. Give it a go, let me know how you get on. Hopefully, I'll catch you in the streams. Peace out.